How's it going, pilots? This is Pete with BananaHobby.com. Welcome to your full hands-on build review of the 1400mm FMS Blitz RC Works P-40 Warhawk. So in this video, we pretty much are going to just get dirty, get our hands in there, and do the complete build for you. I hope you guys and gals out there had a chance to check out the What's in the Box review. And this basically, we're just going to go ahead and grab this airplane and some tools and build this from the ground up and get it ready for the runway. A little bit of things that we want to talk about before we get started here. Have a big enough room area to work on your airplane. Part of this build is a lot of fun because you can get your family together, get everybody's hands on and build this in your kitchen table or your living room table or something like that, or in the family room. This is part of the fun, is the build. But this plane here, from what I can see from the review as actually taking it out of the box, there is not much to actually do and as far as building. Just a couple of little bit of history for y'all. This right now, everybody pretty much are able to get your hands on one of these warbirds and have it assembled in less than an hour, and then you're at the flying field. Back in the days when we were building these things, they were a box of sticks. They were a box of toothpicks and popsicle sticks, and we had to glue it, and then we had to put covering over it, and then you would have to put servos in it, match it with an engine. This now right here is incredible where this industry is going. This is fully EPO foam construction, beautiful brushless outrunner paired with a brushless ESC, and it's pretty much turnkey ready. All you have to do are some bolts and screws and stuff like that, and you're out flying. This is incredible. I love where this industry has gone and where it's going, and I'm very, very honored to be a part of it and to share it with you as well. And as I said in the What's in the Box review, my granddad actually flew the Flying Tigers P-40, so this is a real honor and a real treat for me to be able to build one of these. So with that, let's go ahead and talk about what you need. Have everything laid out and some basic tools here, that you will need. FMS, they already provide you with a Phillips head screwdriver, which works really well, and a little 1.5mm Allen wrench, Allen key that's already in this bag, so you can definitely use that. Aside from that, I always have a couple of things handy. I'll have a pair of scissors. I'll have a hobby knife. Be careful with hobby knives. Hobby knives are incredibly sharp, and just be really, really careful with hobby knives, and don't cut yourself there. And we have a couple of sizes of needle nose pliers. These always come in handy, needle nose pliers. And I'll have a couple of different sizes in screwdrivers as far as the Phillips heads go, like a smaller one, a little bit longer one, just a couple variations. A flathead screwdriver and a 1.5mm hex driver and a 2.0mm hex driver. I don't think we're going to need the 2.0, but most people that are doing this usually have this around anyway, but we'll use the 1.5 for sure, or you can just use the supplied Allen wrench. And I will have a bottle of super glue. Basically, the EPO foam is safe with super glue now, so you want to get a bottle of super glue. If you choose to use it in some little places when something happens or something like that, or for touch-up, you can use some super glue. But I would still try this on an inconspicuous part of the airplane first to make sure that it doesn't eat the foam, and you can go from there. So this airplane will fly on your 4-cell 2500 to about 3000 size lithium polymer pack. For today's review and today's build, we are going to go with the Genesis Power 65C 2500 4S packs. These are the Pete Signature Series. I put my name on these packs because these packs are incredible. They are incredibly strong, they're incredibly reliable, and they are very, very affordable, very inexpensive as well. So we put, I slap my name on it because this is something I truly, truly believe in. So this is what we're going to use for the power. And for the transmitter and the radio gear for this P-40, you can opt to use your own transmitter and receiver if you choose to use your own JR and stuff. I've been using my own JR 9503 or 11X with a lot of these builds. Today we choose to do this complete build with the FMS 6-channel transmitter and receiver. And this is on 2.4 gigahertz, so if you choose to get it as a ready-to-fly format, this is probably most likely the system that you will get. And I noticed something that I wanted to bring to your attention here. The receiver on here says XY5, and it says 5-channel receiver, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4 labeled, and then the battery port labeled. But there are 6 ports on here, with the 7th port being the battery port. And I tried all of them, and they all work. So you kind of just disregard this label here. And actually, it's not a 5-channel. It's actually a 6-channel receiver with an additional battery port. So with that, this is what we're going to use. And I think that's enough talk. Let's go ahead and bring the camera in, and we will start with this hands-on build review. The first few things that we are going to do now, once we get this build going here, is first let's go ahead and get some of these parts out of the way here and grab our instruction manual. Okay, let me get the main wings out of there, and we will put the tail section over here and the fuselage out of the way here. Just a pointer for all you out there building. The foam container that you actually get the airplane shipped in, it's good to actually keep that around, and then maybe you can use a knife and then cut it and then use that as a cradle, so you can flip the airplane fuselage upside down and actually put it inside there when you're working on it and things like that. I have a foam board here that I'm going to use so that I don't crush the foam or dent the foam there. So let's go ahead and get the instructions out here, and let's see what the instructions tell us to do here. This is the ESC programming manual. And you're going to want to keep this around, because if you're using your own 9503 or Futaba or anything like that, you need to program the endpoint calibration. And we'll talk about that later on when we get to the radio programming portion of this build here. Let's go ahead and set this aside. You're going to want you want a piece of, you want a towel nearby, a microfiber or a terry cloth or something like that, just in case you get glue on your hands. Maybe some rubbing alcohol or some denatured alcohol or acetone, just to get the glue off your hands if you do get it on your hands. But the rubber cement, I just rub my fingers together and it just kind of comes off anyway, so not a big deal. Part of building is getting your hands dirty. All right, so the instruction manual basically tells us, they're pretty clear here, tells you what steps to take. This is your choice to whether to follow the instruction manual, or you can go pretty much off of my build review and my processes of actually building this airplane, because I kind of tend to get away from here because there's an easier way to do things, and I'll explain why. Basically, it tells you right now they want you to install the main wings already. First thing off the bat, they want you to put the spar in there and install the main wings. And I don't do that yet, just because you're going to have a big main wing on there moving around when there's other little things that you need to possibly do first, which is, I always do this when I can, is you get your control horn, the control surface horns here, you get these, and you install them on the whole surface of the airplane first. And then you go and start installing the pieces. So later on, you don't have to keep flipping the airplane upside down or right side up, and just to do these little screws and stuff here. So let's go ahead and get the contents out of there. So we have the control surface horn. Let me grab my controller here. We have, get that closer here. So this is the control surface horn right there. And always remember that this side here with the holes, there's 3 holes on it. We are most likely going to use the center hole. And the whole side points towards the push rods. So on the elevator itself here, this will go on the bottom side. You'll notice that the top is camouflaged, the bottom is one color, solid tone, so we are going to press this into here. Okay, so it looks just like that. Looks just like that. And we are going to put the backing on the top side, and we are going to grab our screwdriver here. And there's 2 screws, so we're going to need to look and see where the screw holes are at. They're diagonal, so we're going to go here, one there, and then one right there. And then we are just going to go ahead and tighten this down here. You want to start slow. Actually, I'm going to grab a different driver here. You want to start slow and feel that it's biting. There we go. The threads are going in nice and straight. Okay, so now we're going to go to the diagonal one and tighten that one as well. Okay, once it's there, you can kind of feel the screw actually pop out of the other side a little bit. And you want to tighten this down until you can actually physically see this backing here actually pull into the foam a little bit. You don't want to tighten these too much because it will crush the foam. Let's see. You'll feel enough tension. You'll feel the screw come out of the other side, and you'll see this backing start to pull into the foam just a little bit. Okay, so that's pretty much perfect. And that is, that's all you have to do with this tail section. This is pretty much ready to go to install on the fuselage now. So let's go ahead and grab the vertical stabilizer. And again, the bag with the control surface horn is on this bag. So we pull that off, and then let's go ahead and cut this. Just makes it faster. And we're going to install the rudder surface horn here. And we're going to look on the tail section here for the P-40 here. Get that there. And you will notice that there's a push rod here and there's a push rod on this side. So you need to find out which one is what, right? So we're going to get the tail section here, and you can see that the horn is on the right side, sitting from looking at the plane from the tail forward. The horn is on the right side. So that means this one is for your elevator and this one is for your rudder. So now you know that for the rudder, the horn itself needs to go on the left side of the rudder here. So let's go ahead and set that aside. Okay, let's go ahead and, sometimes these plastic has little, what I call flashes, just little residual plastic on there. You can actually just trim it with the hobby knife, or you can just pop it off with your finger there too. Okay, so we get that on there. Let's get the backing on. And let's get this build going here. There we go. Get one screw in there, one screw here. This one looks like it may be a little bit tight, so we're going to try to press and actually it's perfect. Okay, there we go. We just press a little bit and it bites, and we have tension, and it's good. So move on to the diagonal one, and you can kind of see it pulling into the foam a little bit, so that is perfect. That's pretty much it right there. And then right now, you can see the sticker, the decals for the numbers here. You can, kind of press it with your fingers, because sometimes they start popping up with the climate change during the shipment. So I will always kind of press that down a little bit and just make it nice and smooth here. And that is your vertical stabilizer. Vertical stabilizer. And your rudder with the horn installed, ready to go. So now we're going to grab one of the main wings here. I'm going to back that off a little bit so the main wing will fit. There we go. Now we will get our parts accessories bag right here. And in the parts accessories bag, we are going to open it, and pretty much we're just going to dump it all out on the table here. So, Office Depot, things like that, they sell these little, actually I have one right here. These little containers that look like this, and they have smaller ones that I have a whole bunch of. One of the best things ever. You can just throw all the parts in there and then, label it, and then it makes your build go a lot easier, because when you start mixing up the screws and stuff like that, that's when things start to get messy there. This is the antenna, so we're going to put this aside because we don't need that just yet. Right now we are looking for the bag, the two bags that are for the aileron and the flap horns and push rods. So FMS does a great job. FMS Blitz, they always do a great job with labeling them. So one bag says aileron and one bag says flap. So you want to make sure you don't mix up those two bags. We're going to put the rest of the stuff on the side here. And let's go ahead and go into the aileron bag and just dump everything out, because you need the horns right now, the surface horns. Okay, we get the surface horns out there. And we will put the push rods back into the aileron bag, because the lengths between the aileron push rods and the flat push rods are different lengths, so you don't want to mix the two up. Okay, so let's go ahead and dump everything out of the flat bag here. And put the push rods back into the flap, and we're going to leave those out right there. And you don't want to mix up the screws here, because I can see right now already the flap screws they're two different lengths. So let's keep that aside. There's one longer and one shorter, and it'll tell you in here the lengths of the screws as well. So let's go ahead and grab one wing, and we will install the control surface horn onto the, let's start with the little bit of rubber there. Let's start with the aileron. Okay, same thing, the horn with the holes facing the servo. There we go. A little bit tighter there. That's pretty good right there. All right, let's go ahead and get your hand on this. Press on it on the lower side, and we will get the backing on top. And then now we have to kind of see where the holes line up. There we go. So there's diagonal top and then the bottom. Okay, let's go ahead and grab one screw. Let's see, the aileron screws are all the same lengths. So let's see. Yep. Let's go ahead and press that in there, and then go diagonal, and that pretty much is the way there. There we go. That one's biting, so let's go to this one. And be careful not to strip the screw head here, because sometimes the screws are they don't line up very well, and then you end up stripping the screw head, so be careful in that note there. There we go. So that is good, that's good, and that one is nice and snug there. And then we flip it, and you can actually take a look to make sure that the surface right here is nice and flush. There's no gap on there. Okay. Actually, we want to tighten this one a little bit more. Perfect. Okay. Now we're going to move on to this side, which will be the flap here. Let's go ahead and install this. Same direction towards the servo. Let's go ahead and look. It's on the top side. So let's go ahead and flip it, and we'll get the backing on there. And now the flap bag has two different size screws. And the reason why is the flap is thicker on the root section here. So we know that the longer screw will go here, and then the shorter screw will go towards the trailing edge of the flap a little bit, because that it's thinner in the midsection here. Okay, let's go ahead and get that. Okay, that one's biting. And that one is biting. Perfect. I love it when it lines up nicely. Okay, so that one's tight. And that one is good. Right now, go ahead and do that. Install the rest of the surface horns on the left wing, and we'll meet you back over here. At this time, you should have all of the control surface horns mounted on all the surfaces all across, from your main wings to your vertical stabilizer and your horizontal stabilizer on your elevator and on your rudder. So everything is pretty much ready to go. Now, we are ready to assemble this beautiful P-40 here by putting the parts basically onto the fuselage. And like I said, I get that out of the way because it's easier to do now with a single piece than it is when you get everything mounted on the airplane, and then you have to flip this big airplane up and over and tumble it and things like that to be able to, get these pieces, get the horns installed on there. So let's go ahead and grab the fuselage now. The next portion of this tells you to do the main wings, and again, I start with a small and then move our way up. And with that, we are going to install the tail section here. We're going to install the horizontal stabilizer and the vertical stabilizer. So right now we need to locate our parts bag and find out which screws go where here. Okay, let's see here. Okay, the instructions will tell you we need the elevator. It's two pieces of the 40. So it's this, I believe it is the, here we go. The bag is labeled, and it's labeled 6x40, and that is exactly what it's calling for. So I believe all four of these screws will be for the vertical and the horizontal. So let's go ahead and grab these. They're self-tapping screws there, and they are all the same lengths. So that makes it nice and easy there. Okay, right now, while you have the portion open here and you can see the steering servo is in here, so go ahead and tighten down the servo screw just to make sure that it's tight. Which it is, perfect. Let's go ahead and just basically test fit our horizontal stabilizer there. Okay, that is pretty good. And we are going to go ahead and just insert the screw here, line up the holes, and see, right there. That is good there. It feels good. And that feels good there. I'm going to go ahead and grab a screwdriver. And you want to start light and just make sure it's biting into the plastic. It is screwing into a plastic collar on the other side. Okay, so both of them are pretty much, we have tension, so now we can go ahead and tighten them down. But I do not tighten them down completely just yet. I always tighten them. I don't like the screwdriver. We are going back to this one. I don't tighten them down just yet all the way. I just tighten them to they're just about touching the plastic washer and just about snug. And the reason why is you sometimes want to adjust it a little bit. Okay, actually it's lined up perfect here. So now we're just going to go ahead and snug it a little bit. And then we look down the line of the airplane and make sure it's nice and level, which it is. Now we go ahead and tighten them down. And when you tighten down screws into the plastic washer here, you want to basically tighten until you see some stress ring, like stress marks around the foam there. That tells you it's perfect tension. There's plenty of tension there. And you'll see that, there we go, you'll see that there's a little bit of stress marks around the side, like stress cracks. That tells you that this is pretty much on there and ready to go. Perfect. Okay, so that's perfect and ready to go here. Let's go ahead and now let's go ahead and I will remove the canopy because I need to flip the fuselage to get the screws in for the vertical stabilizer. So right now, we basically, this is pretty simple here. All we're going to do is press the vertical stabilizer into the slots here. And then what you want to do is the horn will be a little bit in the way, so you want to move the rudder over to the right side and then press down. So it clears the elevator here, as you can see. I just pushed it to the right and then it clears and then it slides right in. There you go. And then when you're pushing this in, if there's any kind of resistance or it's a little bit tight, it's supposed to be like that, it's normal. So when you push down, you want to push down with the palms of your hands so that you don't press finger marks into the foam here. Okay, that's just a little bit of a pointer that I always do there. I never really push with my fingertips. There you go. Okay, so that is in there. That is in there pretty good there. Now we're going to go to the bottom side and you will notice, you will see here, there we go. There are two plastic washers here as well, and one of them is really close to the tail wheel, so we can go ahead and move the tail wheel a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and insert these screws. Okay, you can actually give it a twist, turn with your finger, and see if it's biting. Yep, and they are. So now let's go ahead and just tighten these screws down for the vertical here. And I tend to cradle it a little bit so it's not really pressing down hard on it. But again, you know, get yourself a airplane carrier, a cradle. It'll make these builds a whole lot easier. And or use the foam box that it comes in, and then get yourself a knife and cut your own cradle out of there. Okay, that one's about there. We're going to go here and tighten this one as well. Okay. Definitely a snug fit there on the screw, which is good, which means that this will be nice and tight. Okay, so same principle. We are just going to tighten it down so until we see a little bit of stress in the foam right there. Okay, that's perfect. And then we go to the back side and do the same thing. Feel for it. Perfect. That is plenty of tension there. Okay, so that is pretty much it right there. Now let's go ahead and take a look and make sure it's nice and straight, which it is. FMS, Blitz, they do an amazing job with the parts fitments. They always fit so perfect. Okay, let's go ahead and back the camera out just a little bit. Okay, now we are to the point where we need to install the main wings. So let's go ahead and pan the camera out just a bit here and we'll get to the main wings here. So now we are on to our main wing installation portion of this build, which means that we are on the home stretch just about here. We're almost done. Like I said, this has been a very, very easy build, very minimal time here. And let's go ahead and get the main wing mounted here. I'm going to have to apologize for my voice here. I've been a little bit under the weather here for a little while here, and my throat is just actually really beating me up right now. So we're going to get through this together here. Let's go ahead and finish the build here. Okay, so now we will locate your main wing spar here, and I have to get to the other side here, and so I can show you. The servo wires coming out of each wing are actually zip tied together, so you do want to get a pair of cutters and go ahead and clip the zip tie, and be very, very careful when you clip the zip tie not to cut any of the wires. Sometimes they put this on there a little bit tight, and you can actually rotate it a little bit and find where there's a little bit of a hollow portion, and then cut that zip tie off. There we go. So that one is ready. Let's go ahead and do that to the right wing as well. Excuse me. Okay, let's go ahead and find the right wing, and let's get that little zip tie off of there. Yeah, be very, very careful once again when you cut these zip ties off. If you cut that wire, you're going to end up doing some soldering work there, and some electrical tape or some shrink tubing. Okay, so you have 3 wires on each side. One for your ailerons, one for your flap, and one for that retract, okay? And let's go ahead and show you the wing rod here, where did I do with the wing rod? There it is. Here's the main wing spar. We will insert the main wing spar into this hole right here. You'll see this hole right here. And we will just press this wing spar until it pretty much is snug, and then it stops. That's pretty much exactly where it needs to go there. Okay, what we need to do now is, let me just get this fuselage over here. Now we will line up the wing spar with the hole in the fuselage here. You'll physically see a hole there. It's right there, and then we will insert that nice and slow, and you see the wing spar come out the other side. And now we have to line up our 3 wires here they will be plugged into Y harnesses later on, or 3-way harnesses. There's actually let's see here. There's a hole here for the wires to travel through. So let's go ahead and find that hole, and it's right there. See right there? This hole right there, that is the pocket or the compartment that your wires will be going through. So now let's go ahead and tuck the wires through there so we can actually pull the wing all the way up. Okay, so there's channel number 5. When you're doing this process here, be careful, because these servo plugs, they actually have labels on them. They say channel 5, they say channel 1, channel 6. And you want to keep those stickers on there so you're able to identify which servo plug goes where later on when you're plugging it into the Y harness here. Okay, we did channel number 1 all the way through there. There we go. Okay, now that we have all the wires through the pocket there, we want to make sure this is tucked in. Okay, which it is. And now you're going to want to just basically tug on the wires a little bit, get them kind of tight. And I just lost channel number 1; it just fell back out. Okay, there we go. Let's get that back in there again. I'm not quite sure if this is easier to do with the Y harnesses already attached, or if it's easier like this. So let's just go ahead and try it like this. Okay, there we go. We're going to check the bottom here and make sure that the wires are clear. Okay, right there, they are not clear. It's pinching right there, so you want to make sure that this actually goes into the slot right here, into that slot right there. Okay, now let's go ahead and put a little bit of tension and push. There we go. And right here, these wires, you can actually later on use some clear tape or use some 3M blender tape and press that. And now that that's in position, we can go ahead and push this all the way on. Okay, grab here and give it even pressure and just press. There we go. Pretty much all the way on there. Let's go ahead and check it one more time, and it is ready to go. Rock and roll there. That is on there, and it is ready. And let's get the wires here. Okay. Okay, that is pretty much good to go on one side. Let's go ahead and do the same for the other side. Line this up as I knock everything over here. Okay. It seems that the aileron channel wire is the shortest and the most trouble to actually get it lined up with the actual compartment hole that you have to run the wires through there. So you just kind of gotta fiddle with it. I actually think it's probably easier if you get the Y harness on there first, because you would just run the Y harness out of that hole and then pull the Y harness through it. But since we've already gone this far, we'll just go like this. Okay, so that pretty much. Okay, let's go ahead and tug on the wires, get them out of the way. There we go. Same thing with the other side. Make sure it's clearing the portion where it presses in so it's not pinching. Perfect. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and just press her home now. And that is all the way in. And we have all the wires, 3 from each side. 1, 2, 3. And we have the aileron there Perfect. Okay. There we go. I'm actually going to backtrack. We are going to locate our channel number 1 Y harness here. It's included in the bag here. So this is the Y harness. This goes onto your ailerons. This one's labeled channel number 1. It's actually easier if you get this ran through there first. I just decided that because it is hard to reach that aileron wire. It's just kind of short. So let's go ahead and get this through this hole first. Okay, and then let's plug it into the channel number 1 wire here. And make sure that the colors line up, brown to brown, red to red, and then that orangey yellow to yellow. Okay, so this is probably easier because now you have something to actually pull on. And since we're doing that, you might as well plug in channel number 6 too, because that's the next shortest one. So we find our Y harness for channel number 6, which are your flaps. Let's go ahead and plug that in. Coloration. Oh, actually, I forgot. My bad. Let's run it through the hole first, and then let's plug it in. There we go. Now let's line up the colors here. There we go. We're good to go. It's lined up. All right. So now you have something to hold on to. Let's go ahead and now we can go ahead and pull the wires completely through here. There we go. So now let's go ahead and get the wing seated back on here. Okay. There we go. Make sure all the wires are out of the way. Which they are. Okay. Now we go ahead and push it all the way home. There we go. So now we are all the way there. And you just want to make sure you plug in the aileron extension, the aileron Y harness to the other side now, and channel number 6 to the other side. But we'll get to that in just a little bit here. Right now, what we need to do is, now that the wings are on there, we need to secure the wings, and we're going to flip the P-40 once more. And on the bottom here, get that on there, there we go. On the bottom here, you will see, get that out of the way, there we go. You will see there are 2 wood retainers here that are for the main wing bolts. So it makes it a lot easier to transport if you want to take the main wings off and things like that. And we're going to go ahead and find the bag that has these 2 silver screws in it. Oh, there we go. These 2 silver screws in it. They actually have a washer built into the top of the screw. So these are what we're going to use. And we are going to just okay, the foam isn't cut on this, on the top part, so just go ahead and press it through and then kind of feel it with your finger, and it feels like it's grabbing. So let's go ahead and try one side, and you can actually kind of push and then make sure that it's nice and snug and tight there, and then go ahead and tighten this down, which it is. So now we're going to go ahead and put some tension on this and tighten down the main wing. And this right here, just tighten it enough to where you can see actually the wood starts to bend a little bit, and you know that it's pretty much there. There we go. And do the same thing to this side. And that tells me that I missed the pilot hole. There's a hole in the main wing. There it is. Now I got it. So if you're screwing it in there and there's no tension whatsoever, you missed the actual pilot hole that it's supposed to aim for. So just reline it up until you find it. There has to be some tension when you're screwing this in. And that's the right one. There we go. So now we have that wood bent a little bit, and she is all the way in. Perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and get her back onto her belly side of this build here. Now pretty much we are at the portion where we will run our Y harnesses and plug in the radio equipment here. So we already did plug in our, let me see if I can turn it this way here, our channel number 1 to one side and then our channel number 6 to the other side. So we're going to find that Y harness here. Okay, so this is the channel number 1 Y harness. We're going to find the aileron for the other side, and we're going to plug it in. And this is why I said that it would be easier if we did that from the get-go. So now I have to actually use a pair of needle nose to get in there. But when you're building it, go ahead and actually run the Y harness the way I showed you through the holes first before you plug it in, before you plug the wings in, to make it a lot easier. Okay, so but this is still easy. It's not bad at all. There we go. Okay, so we have channel number 1 plugged in. check it, make sure it's nice and tight there. Okay, and then we find channel number 6. And channel number 6 down here. And we line up the colors and plug in channel number 6. Okay, so that's good. And then this is channel number 5. These are for your retracts. So let's go ahead and locate the wires for the retracts. These were the longest ones, so these have no worries. They actually pop out of the top right here. They're so long, they're right there. So these are channel number 5. So we'll line up the colors once again accordingly. There we go. And then channel number 5. Here we go. Okay, so that is pretty much golden there. Okay, we are now at the point where we will install our radio gear. We have our FMS 6-channel transmitter. And let's go ahead and grab the receiver. Here we go. And pretty much now we are going to plug this in accordingly. We're going to go get channel number 1. And see here, this is channel number 1. It's labeled down there, so you want to take a look. Channel number 1 goes into channel number 1, which is your ailerons, and then we'll find channel number 2, which is an individual back here. Channel number 2 goes into 2, and it's your elevator. And then channel 3 is your throttle, which is up in the front right here. Let's go get that into channel number 3. And then channel number 4 is your rudder and steering tail wheel. So let's go that goes into channel 4. Channel number 5 are your retracts. Okay. So it'll go into your gear channel if you're using Spectrum or Futaba there. And then channel 6 are your flaps. We're going to go plug that into channel number 6. And your receiver's pretty much in there and ready to go here. Where's that? There it is. We're going to go ahead and connect the EC3 to T-plug adapter here so we can actually get some power on. All right, okay, let's see here. Okay, so this is pretty much ready to go here. Let's go ahead and a couple of key things here. If you're using your own Spectrum radio, make sure that you do the bind process with your gear switch in the down position or in the position whichever position that you actually like it in, because otherwise when you plug it in and you apply power to it every time, the gears they're either going to fold or they're going to come down on you. So you want to make sure you bind it like that. And then as far as throttle calibration, if you are using your own Spectrum JR radios or anything like that, you will need to do the throttle endpoint calibration. And or if you're using Futaba, you have to reverse your channel number 3 for sure. Go into your programming parameters and change servo reversing for channel number 3 because Futaba runs on reversing for the throttle channel. Okay, let's go ahead and plug this in and see where we are at here. And be ready to actually pick her up off the table, because the gears may just come down on you, or you really don't know. Right now we're just going to stick the LiPo in here and see where we're at here. Okay, transmitter on, and we're going to give her some power here. Okay, I have her holding here just in case. Okay, so that tells me that the gear switch is in the correct position. So let's go ahead and see if we can flip a switch here and not lose the battery and get the gears out. Okay, so now the gears will come down. There we go. So the gears are out. Now we're going to go ahead and set her down on her landing gears. And the speed control initialized. If you are using your own Spectrum, when you start it the first time, you're going to want to start the throttle in high stick position and wait for the first 2 beeps. And as soon as you hear the first 2 beeps, put the throttle back down to the lowest position, and then you'll hear 2 more beeps. After that, unplug the plane, turn your radio off, turn it back on, and you will get the initializing tones ready to go here. Okay, so we're checking our surfaces. Okay, so that's pretty much all good to go there. Let's go ahead and get the battery just tucked in here for now, because we need to install the push rods and the control surface horns. And many of you may be asking, well, why haven't you, wow, look at that. These gears are beautiful. These scale landing gears. Sorry, got sidetracked again. Throughout this build, maybe you're asking, why have you not installed a propeller yet? And I have a very good reason for that. And it's because right now, as you can see, we're in the setup process and build process. And you don't really want this big propeller on there as you're building, because you may accidentally bump the throttle and it's dangerous. You don't want it spinning around you or anything like that. So the propeller is something that I always do absolutely last. After programming, after getting the control surfaces, everything hooked up, then I go to my propeller and install the propeller here. Let's go ahead and not dent the airplane there, please. There we go. I get too excited and start trying to get this done, and it ends up denting the airplane. So try not to do that. There we go. Let's go ahead and check the ailerons. Okay, ailerons are good. We have flap servos are good. Okay, so now we're going to go to the bag that says aileron. These are the push rods for the ailerons here. So let's go ahead and take the aileron push rods out of the bag and put one on each side. And flap push rods look to be longer, so the flap push rods go here. So we'll just set that down there. So right now we will use, we will use the top hole here on the servo. Go ahead and, let me get the hammer in a little bit tighter here. Go ahead and insert the push rod into the Z-bend here with the Z-bend hole, and then just bring it around just like that. Okay, now we are going to do the, actually, I made a mistake. We're going to go ahead and do the flaps first, because the flaps are jointed with the main wing, and you can actually use the flaps to see how close to center neutral point where your ailerons are. So let's go ahead and do the flap first. Let's go ahead and use on the flaps, I'm going to use the middle hole, because we don't need a whole lot of movement on the flaps there. And this tells me that this is way off, so we're going to go ahead and tighten the control clevis here. We're going to screw this in and make it shorter. That looks about close. So we will use the top hole for the flaps here. The top hole out of the three, so it's the farthest one away from the control surface there. Okay, so that's too much, because I always feel it. You can kind of see this level here. Flaps are a little bit too low, so we're going to go out one turn. And that is perfect. So right now, I'm actually not going to pinch these down yet, because we want to still set up. So now we're going to go ahead and do the ailerons. They look like they're way too long, so we will tighten this down and make it shorter. And if you're using your own computer radios, then you can do some sub trimming with the actual servo sub trims. But right now, these are pretty solid, and they look pretty much on the money here. Okay, that's going to be still too long, so let's go ahead and tighten it down some more. Okay, I think that's going to be pretty close. But the ailerons, we will use the middle hole. Okay, I've made it a little bit too short because it's not lining up with the flaps. So we will come out half a turn and take another look here. That's pretty close. We'll get one more half turn, and that is good. Real quick, in the bag, you will have, in the aileron bag and in the flap bag, let me get this out of there here. Bear with me here. Come on, here we go. There will be a couple of little tiny O-rings. And what those are, they're just rubber retainers for the control clevises. And this is what you do with it. You get a pair of needle nose pliers, and you insert the O-ring onto your needle nose pliers, and then you get your control clevis here. It's just for insurance-wise, so that, in case so it doesn't pop open. So you kind of stretch it, and then you just put this right over the clevis itself, and then release it. And then, once you're done setting it up, you can actually press it and then slide this retainer all the way up there. So now we're going to go ahead and do the same thing with the push rods for the other wing and then the tail section, and we'll meet you back over here. Hopefully by now you have the control push rods and the clevises all mounted onto your control surfaces, which basically is what I've done here. So now pretty much let's go ahead and back out the camera a little bit here. All your surfaces should be ready to go here. Go ahead and move this back up here. Still leave it upside down here. And we can check our surfaces. Okay, so now let's go ahead and flip her back onto her belly side. But before we do that, let's go ahead and cycle the retracts once more. Let's go check out the retracts here. That is awesome. That is too cool. Look at that. Full closing doors too right here as well. That is cool. While the airplane is open and you have all this exposed screws and stuff like that, I would just do it once over with a screwdriver, you know, make sure all the screws are tight. Something always good to do. And then inside the airplane as well, right here, you have the servos and stuff, so you definitely can do a once over on these screws as well. Never hurts to make sure. And I love that these screws are screwed in there and they're not actually glued in there, so that's pretty much good there. So now let's go ahead and give our surface, let's give it a control surface check here. Okay, let me see here. Okay, we have up elevator, down elevator, that's up, and then down, down, left, right, and then ailerons left and ailerons right. Okay, and we have a little bit of throttle. We're pretty much ready to go here. Now let's go ahead, before we clean up the mess in there, we're going to go ahead and install the propeller. And, well, first we have to build the propeller. Let's go ahead and the cool thing is FMS gives you a little couple of baggies of spare parts. You have some spare clevises, some spare screws in there. All right, let's get the spinner and the propeller. Let's go ahead and come over here. But before we do that, let's go ahead and get our tube of rubber cement. Go ahead and open it and pop it right here in the front. So it's ready to go. Get a towel ready because we want to install the motor covers, the exhaust motor covers, the motor covers. A couple of Lexan pieces. There we go. Let's go ahead and see if this is directional or not. As you can see right here, this is already pretty much, it's already ready to go on here. So it just pretty much slides right on and over that and then presses down. So it's not directional that I can see. Okay, so that one test fits over there. Okay, let's test fit this one on this side, see if it fits a little bit better. Okay, so it's not directional. It fits the same on both sides. So let's go ahead and put the rubber cement. Not a whole lot of it. You don't want it to goop out everywhere. So let's go ahead and just put a little right here. Hang on to it. Try not to get it on your hands. And then I would probably just put it on inside this area here so it attaches to the foam in there. And then of course, you want some at the end portion of it because you want the tag ends of this to actually sit down and flush. Okay, that's pretty good there. I'm going to set that one down on this side because I'm going to do the other side so y'all can see here. Okay, we'll go ahead and put some glue there, and then we'll go down the center portion. Some more rubber cement. There we go. Get down some on the side here. And on that side right there. Okay, so let's go ahead and press this right into place. There we go. Looks about good, so we're going to press down on it until it sits nice and flush. There we go. And we got a little bit of glue coming out, so that's okay. I'm going to wipe that down. I'm going to push on this side. And that's pretty good right there. If the plastic actually pops up a little bit, wait till this glue sets up a little bit and then press it back down and it'll stick. Because right now the glue is still kind of real liquidy, so you want to wait to let it set up a little bit and then press it down, and then it'll actually sit a lot better. There we go. Okay, so that's pretty much good there. And let's get the antenna on there. The antenna here goes in the back, so let's go ahead and test fit it, make sure that it's, there we go. It's directional, so you want to make sure if you stick it in one way, it's gonna have a little bit of a tag sticking out there, so you know that's not the right way. Let's put a little bit of rubber cement on there. Let's go and slide that right into the slot right there. And perfect. A little bit of glue. Get it off your fingers. All right. That pretty much is all the gluing that I can see. So right now we're going to give it a little press because it didn't sit down all the way and the glue's starting to set a little bit. Okay. All right. Okay, let's go ahead and build a propeller here. Hammer a little bit tighter. There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and get the propeller bag open. And make sure you see that one of them says replacement, so it's a spare prop. So So we'll save that one for the spare there. Okay. Okay, we have 2 bags of screws here. One bag was for the spinner itself, and then one bag is for the blades themselves. So let's go ahead and grab our screwdriver. Okay, let's go ahead and take this bag of screws and open it. And I believe the bag with 6 screws in it is for the propellers. Are for the propellers. Okay, let's get the propellers out of their little protective bags here. Okay, on the spinner, you will see these notches here. Basically, this propeller just sits right on those notches there, okay? And it's 2, they are 2 screws per propeller, so 1 in each hole of each blade. And just go ahead and hang on to that with your fingers and tighten these screws down. Okay, even pressure, don't tighten one down all the way. Get both of them to right about the same spot here, and then tighten them down. Okay, it's pretty good. And that's pretty good there. Okay, let's go ahead and do the next blade. Wow, this fitment is amazing. It fits perfect. Makes building so much easier when everything falls right into place here. Okay. These blades are pre-balanced, so I don't see a need in balancing them. But if you choose to balance them, it's totally up to you. Okay, that's it. So we got one more blade. Make sure it seats. There we go. And FMS, once again, beautiful thing. They give you an extra couple of screws just in case you strip one or break one or something like that. So that pretty much is in one, and one last one. Okay, so now it is tight. We do a once over on all the screws. Make sure they are all down nice and tight, which they are. Okay, that is it. So now you have your scale, beautiful 3-bladed propeller is pretty much ready to go to mount onto the motor here. Now we are going to install the main blade, the propeller, and the spinner. Make sure everything is turned off right this time, that the battery is unplugged from the airplane. And we're going to take this prop hub nut off right here. Basically, this is just the screw that is going to be holding down your propeller to the backing here. Okay, we can go ahead and take a look here, and you can actually see that there are screws in here. So I always just do a once over, get a screwdriver in there and make sure all the screws are tight. Okay, which they are. Okay, that's pretty good. They're all pretty tight, so we don't need to do that again. Let's go ahead and get the propeller lined up with the prop shaft here and the prop backing. There we go. And we're going to go ahead and just give it a little press, and it's not lined up. It's a hexagon shape back here, so you want to line this up pretty good with that. Okay, so we got a flat part right there. There we go. This part here is crucial because if it's too loose, then you're going to have vibration. If it's too tight, then it would not fit. So we just got to kind of play with it real quick. Find the right spot there, which I still cannot find. There we go. There, and we'll try right there. That should go right on now. Okay, it still didn't want to go. The next thing we can do is, if it doesn't seat all the way, what you could do is you could put the prop nut on there and get it to line up just about where it's supposed to go, and then we're going to use a driver. And the way you tighten this is there's a hole in the prop nut, so just stick something that's a small skinny screwdriver like this here, and we're just going to put this right in there, and then we're just going to start turning it and then let it seat itself there. There we go. So now it's lined up. Okay, perfect. So this is how you tighten this propeller with with a Allen driver or something like that. Okay, now that it's up against the back, I'm going to give it to. Actually, going to use this one. Whatever will fit in that nice and tight, or so it's snug with a snug fit. Let's go back to the same one here. Let's go ahead and tighten it down. Okay. That is real tight there. That's perfect. That's pretty much all you got to do. So the propeller's on there. Now let's get this beautiful scale, beautiful, wow, the spinner's awesome. The spinner's on there. Let's get the spinner on there now. Okay, perfect fit. Now we have the other bag here with 3 small screws in it. We will take those screws out and we will insert these screws into the spinner, these spinner nozzles here. So we go one at a time here. There we go. I usually have it on the front of the screwdriver and then go ahead and insert it. There we go. So that one's there. You got to hang on to it. Okay. Okay, so that one's nice and tight. Then we go to this one. There we go. Trying to get this done here with the left hand is not easy since I'm right-handed. I could play baseball both ways, but using a screwdriver is not the easiest thing with the left hand. So let's go ahead and get the last screw right in there. I haven't tightened any of these down yet because I want to make sure the spinner is sitting in there nice and flat and everything is level before we start tightening these down. Okay, so there we go. So they are in there. Now I'm going to turn the airplane so I can actually use my right hand and tighten them. There we go. So what we're doing now is we're going to tighten one. There's the other screwdriver here. We'll tighten one screw first, just until it actually you feel there's a little bit of tension. There we go. And then you move on to the next one. So don't tighten them all the way down yet, once again. Okay, that's pretty good there. Go to the third one. Okay. Now we can go ahead and tighten them all down. Just tight enough. That's it. Perfect. Okay. Now we have your P-40 Warhawk pretty much on prop with a beautiful scale spinner there. And just a quick side note, just so you guys and gals out there understand what's going on here. When you get this airplane, I've talked about this before, I just want to make sure that I reiterate this so everybody will be on the same page here. When you look at it, even with the propeller not on there, it looks like the propeller and the motor is crooked to the right. It's actually at an angle to the right, okay? The prop shaft is angled to the right, and that is completely normal. I get a lot of calls asking about that, and what that is, it's called right thrust. And what right thrust does is it counters the torque issues with the propeller spinning in one direction, which is it's spinning counterclockwise. So there's right thrust built into the motor, and that would make the airplane fly straight. Otherwise, without that, the airplane's going to be all over the place, and it will not fly straight. So that is completely normal. Some will even have a little bit of down thrust, depending on which airplane it is. But this one, I mainly see right thrust in it. So don't be alarmed that the motor looks like it's crooked to the side or anything like that. If it's absolutely banking broken off, then you know that that's not normal. But this kind of angle is absolutely normal. Okay, well, there's nothing left now to do but to secure the receiver and pretty much check the surfaces. Let's go ahead and get the camera back out so we can do a wrap-up of this beautiful P-40 here. All right, congratulations on following me through this entire build of this FMS Blitz RC Works P-40 Warhawk. She is ready for the runway. We pretty much have it pretty all set up here. A couple of tidbits here to conclude our build review here today. As far as travel on the control surfaces, you don't need much at all. I'm running probably about 11 degrees on the elevator, 11 to 15 depending on your personal flying style, and about 15 degrees on the ailerons and about 10 or 12 on the rudder. So that's all personal preference there as far as how much control deflection you would have. But that's pretty much all I need for this beautiful warbird here. And we will have this on our website in 2 different colors as well. And this is the Flying Tigers one. And right now, let's give you a surface check. So we have ailerons. Elevator's good, rudder's good. And then we're going to give it a little power here. As you can see there, as everything blows off the workbench here, there's not any power issues whatsoever. So far, with all these FMS builds and the FMS reviews that I've done, these airplanes fly box stock super, super well. They're absolutely balanced perfectly a ton of power, and they track like they're on rails here. I cannot wait to make this flight review for you, and to find some appropriate music to match with it as well. And with that, I think right now we can call this pretty much a complete build of this beautiful FMS Blitz RC Works P-40 Warhawk in the Flying Tiger scheme. Look at that. This warbird is absolutely just a thing of beauty here. I'm speechless with this beautiful airplane. Once again, thank you all always for your support and for following me through this build. Make sure you check out all the future coming videos where we're going to be doing a lot of hands-on building and flight reviews and fun things like that to come as well. Please follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook, become a fan on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, and you'll get announcements of every time I post something new for a video review as well. Again, thank you all always for your support. This hobby is what I do, and what I do is all because for all you guys and gals out there. Hope you enjoy this video. Make sure you check out the flight review, and we will see you on the runway.